Originally, the first computers did not have much in the way of graphical user interface. Display was a secondary concern to computation ability in the real-life application of computers. Once computing devices became more complicated, controlling them became more difficult. To alleviate this issue, display devices and adapters were developed. The monochrome display adapter is considered by many to be the first video card ever. It was released in 1981 and manufactured by IBM. The card was only capable of displaying text at a resolution of 720 by 350 pixels. Despite its inability to render graphics, it is still considered a video card because its only purpose was to display information. The MDA would be the standard for years to come and is the precursor of the modern GPU. In 1982, the Hercules graphics card was released. It was able to display text at a resolution of 640 by 200 like the MDA. Unlike the monochrome display adapter, the HGC was also able to produce monochrome graphics. The HGC had higher resolution capabilities than any of its competitors on the market at the time of its release. Due to its processing and rendering speed, it was used long after it became outdated, especially in high-demand instances like dual monitor setups. The color graphics adapter was a card built by IBM and released in 1981, a little after the MDA. It was able to produce and display graphics at a resolution of 640 by 200 in 4-bit color. It was the first color card for PC, but its resolution capabilities were worse than the MDA, and it was quickly rendered obsolete by newer display adapters. 1984 marked the release of the Enhanced Graphics Adapter line of display devices. They were able to render color in 16-bit at resolutions of 640 by 350 pixels. Due to this, they quickly became industry standard and pushed the CGA off the market. Like the majority of modern technology, it was hurriedly outclassed by new developments in the field. Due to most display improvements between the 80s and the 90s only relating to resolution, color depth, and processing speed, we will jump ahead to the first cards with 3D display capabilities. The Voodoo was released in 1996 by 3DFX and was the first graphics card designed solely for generating 3D graphics. Owners of the card had to have separate video cards to process 2D graphics, as the Voodoo was only focused on rendering 3D images. It was able to display graphics at resolutions of 320 by 200 pixels and had a palette of 256 colors. In 1999, NVIDIA released the GeForce 256. This was the first card known as a GPU, or graphics processor unit, a term the company created. NVIDIA described its GPU capabilities as a single-chip processor with integrated transform, lighting, triangle setup, clipping, and rendering engines that is capable of processing a minimum of 10 million polygons per second. Due to its onboard processing capabilities, it was able to outperform all previous cards and all competitors on the market. It was the most recent major evolution in graphics cards technology. While there have been many upgrades and breakthroughs in graphics and display technology since 1999, they relate to processing and rendering speed and capability. Parallel processing and the like offer major upgrades to graphics tech, but are still a logical progression from the first GPUs. Due to this, we will skip ahead to modern-day graphics display and its application in the real world.
To begin our graphics card installation, we will start by removing the screw that holds the side panel of the chassis in place. Our next step of the installation will be to remove the cover to the expansion port where we will be placing the new graphics card. Now it is time to place the graphics card into the expansion port. This can be easily done by setting the graphics card into the expansion port and snapping it into place. Our second to last step will be to place the expansion port cover back into place to ensure the graphics card is secure. The last step of the installation is to screw the side panel of the computer chassis back into place. Now that the installation is complete, you are ready to use your newly installed graphics card. The cost of graphics cards has evolved over the years, along with the cost of purchasing a personal computer, tablet, or smartphone. As technology progresses, prices drop for older technology. The newest technology is always relatively expensive in its initial release, but drops substantially as newer technology becomes available. Graphics card prices range from $60 for a low-end model, with high-end variations selling for up to $5,000. High-end cards would be used primarily by commercial entities for large-scale rendering and graphics processing. Applications of such power would be used for training on flight simulators, heavy equipment, medical imaging, and energy exploration. Flight and heavy equipment simulators are machines designed to resemble the cockpit of an aircraft or large machinery, with computer-generated images that mimic the operator's view. The images that are displayed on the simulator have to be very close to the actual conditions that an operator may encounter during real-world equipment usage. Medical imaging is the technique and process of creating visual representations of the interior of a body for clinical analysis and medical intervention. It seeks to reveal internal structures hidden by the skin and bones, as well as to diagnose and treat disease. A top-end graphics card is used to render those images as accurately and realistically as possible to ensure precision and success of subsequent implementation of the practice. Energy exploration uses graphics cards to give engineers and earth scientists a powerful new way to view large seismic datasets that power more precise exploration and faster discoveries. It can be applied to map movement of subatomic particles and simulate their behavior. We have seen an extreme advancement of graphical user interface technology in recent years, and it seems to show no signs of slowing down. Monitor security may be more important than you think. Imagine you're a company director, you're accessing account history, perhaps you work as a freelance HR consultant. You may work as the company accountant or administrator, and the last thing you would want to happen would be the crucial leak of information. Whatever the reason, you would like to keep prying eyes away from your computer monitor. Well, you may just be in luck. There are a few options when it comes to monitor security. The first would be a privacy screen, which can be applied to your monitor and acts as a window that only the person sitting directly in front of the computer is able to see. These privacy screens come in various sizes and can even be applied to laptops. The next privacy method is based off of removing the computer monitor altogether. There are types of software that allow the user to remotely access their computer from their smartphone or tablet. The smartphone or tablet then becomes the monitor. The user can direct their handheld device to control their entire computer without ever turning the monitor on. The last method is a little more unconventional and will require some physical labor.
For this project, you're going to need a cutting tool like a razor blade or an X-Acto knife to cut the polarizing film, a flathead screwdriver to remove the frame from the monitor, and a scraping tool to help pry up the film without damaging the glass underneath. Use the screwdriver to pry off the monitor frame so you can get to the film underneath. Be careful of the power switch because you could damage the wiring behind it and lose the ability to activate the monitor. Try to pry off the frame one corner at a time, and don't force it as you could crack the plastic. Once you have the cover off, use your razor to cut along the edges of the screen. Don't put too much pressure on the knife as the film is very thin and you may scrape or scratch the glass underneath if you press too hard. Just slowly cut along the edge of the screen and make sure all your cuts intersect. After cutting completely around the frame, use your scraping tool to pry up an edge of the film. When you have a corner of film, you can grab it and peel off as much of the film as possible. Repeat the prying and peeling process as necessary, as the polarizing film will not always peel off in one strip. Now that you have the film removed, you can put the frame back on the monitor. This is relatively easy, and most monitors have locking points near the corners of the frame. Just firmly apply pressure to each locking point and you should have an easy time with it. Finally, use some of the film you scraped off to make polarized glasses. With these glasses, you will be the only person to see what you are doing on your computer. Enjoy your newfound secrecy and privacy.